Manifesting abundance does not have to be difficult, but there was a time in my own life when I did not believe that to be true. And what I learned is that any difficulty experienced when it comes to creating prosperity was based on my internal workings, because our reality is directly related to the beliefs and perceptions within our minds. These beliefs and the perceptions and feeling states that align with those beliefs are what creates our reality. But, interestingly enough, many of our foundational beliefs and perceptions are created when we are children, and so we learn these things by default, even if they go against something we truly want now, like creating money, abundance, or prosperity. Learning by default indicates that we don't have much of a choice in the matter. We acquire knowledge from those surrounding us and adopt their ideals, beliefs, and behavior. Observation is the way all young become aware of information in order to navigate through life. So how do we change any outdated thinking and beliefs that may be limiting successful and abundant outcomes in our lives if we've learned to think, feel, and act in ways that don't align with those things? The first thing to understand is that we sometimes get stuck in our old modes of thinking and behaving. But as adults, we have the power to choose what we think, what we believe, how we feel, how we behave, what we perceive to be as our truth, and how we respond to the world around us. It's only that sometimes we forget that we actually have those choices. And because of that, our personal reality can change based on the choices that we decide to make, and new choices stem from new conscious awareness. Reality does not have to be set in stone. We have the ability to make our visions a reality. So following, I'm going to give you my top 5 law of attraction tips that I've used to manifest abundance in my life in the order of importance to me, with number 5 truly being my top tip for creating an abundant and fulfilling life. Tip number 1. The very first thing I always do when it comes to abundance or anything else in my life is make a firm decision regarding exactly what I'm creating. Before anything can be created externally, it must be created internally first. And abundance means different things to different people, so it's a good idea to be very specific about what type of prosperity, wealth, money, or whatever else you want an abundance of that you're creating. I always think of it like this. If I wanted to place an order from a restaurant, I wouldn't simply say, "Please bring me some food." I would state exactly what I wanted, including any special requests, so there wasn't any confusion as to what I would receive. So create an idea of exactly what type of abundance you're manifesting with as many specific details as possible, and hold that idea in your imagination, often in a daydream state. Do this where it feels good to envision this thing, not from a place of lack or frustration. You must really love this idea so much that it consumes you with excitement and joy. The times that I've manifested the most abundance in my life were the times when the feeling of the excitement about that consumed me on every level. So then write it down, each and every detail, and pretend you're placing an order with the universe. But the universe needs as many details as possible in order to deliver an accurate representation of that. Be as descriptive as possible, all the way down to the smallest of features, and feel the passion of that as you do. Tip number 2. So I know that things are going to show up in my life based on my thinking and feeling states, and those things always present me with specific choices to make. To manifest abundance, I also know I must make choices from the perspective of the end result of having that abundance. So I always make the attempt to deliberately choose how I'm going to respond to these situations with my thoughts, feelings, words, and behavior in order to create a shift. For instance, if I'm experiencing something that may indicate some type of lack where my manifestation is concerned, I ask myself, how would someone with abundance react to this situation? What would they say? What would they do? And how would they feel? And then I use my answers to adopt those types of thoughts, words, actions, and feeling states so that I become the type of person who lives with this result. A person who's naturally abundant is not going to react the same way to a situation as someone who's coming from a place of lack. And I know that once I firmly decide that I have control over how I think, feel, speak, and behave, and therefore react to any situation, I have total authority over my experience. This puts me in the role of a creator, rather than keeping me in a position of reacting and perpetuating more of the same experiences that don't align with my manifestation of abundance. Here's my third tip. I find ways to use my thoughts, words, and actions to show my passion and enthusiasm about that abundance that I've defined and that I'm creating. One thing I've learned about the law of attraction is that enthusiasm is completely magnetic. When you're passionate and excited about an outcome, it becomes contagious. Other people who may have once been hesitant about your ideas and goals show up in a much more supportive way, and the universe delivers people, places, and events that align with that manifestation. Passion and enthusiasm are the driving force of energy that creates more to be passionate and enthusiastic about. It literally magnetizes the things you need to manifest the abundant outcome you're creating. Okay, tip number 4. When I was working from a place of not having much abundance, I knew from studying and reading tons of books that I needed to change my expectations. So I began to expect that the world around me could change. I began to expect that I would always experience wonderful things, and I began to expect that I could create success and abundance easily. I told myself these things often, and I even wrote them down and put them places where I could see them often. So life will always deliver to us what we expect it to, and expectations are very powerful because they establish in advance what can be experienced. Even if you don't see it showing up right away, keep expecting it and make choices in your thoughts, feelings, words, and behavior that align with that expectation, as mentioned in step 2. And here's another interesting thing. Have you ever noticed that when you have an expectation regarding another person and their behavior, that it often becomes a reality? This also works with the rest of the world and the way in which it responds to what we expect from it. The word expect comes from 2 words, ex and specto. In Latin, ex means out of or from, and specto, which comes from spectator, means to observe, see, or picture. In other words, expect means to outpicture. You expect that the way you perceive the world is what will happen as reality. And in doing so, that is almost always what's experienced. When we change what we expect to happen, we change what we outpicture or observe and experience as reality. And tip number 5, the most important abundance tip I can give you from my personal reference, is to follow your passion. Everything in my life, including the abundance I began to create, fell into place when I was truly following my passion. Not what someone else told me would create success and trying to convince myself to enjoy that, but really getting to the heart of what I was passionate about and pouring everything I had into that passion. This is as easy as asking yourself, what would you do with your life if you could do anything you wanted and money was not an issue? Pretend you already have a trust fund in place. What would you do with your life? No matter what this is, there's a way, probably unbeknownst to you at this time, that will allow you to create abundance in your life doing just that. All possibilities exist, and when we're living in our passion, we naturally draw in resources, and as a result, abundance shows up effortlessly. Once you've figured out what you would do, write it down and begin to brainstorm about it. You can even put it in the comments of this video to make it more real in your mind. And then allow your mind and your imagination to play with the possibility. This will begin to open you up to those things. When we take control of who we are and commit to absorbing ourselves in the power we hold, we can literally create anything we desire. People are always asking me to prove to them that the law of attraction works, and I can tell you from personal experience, as someone who grew up thinking lack was normal and experiencing that for a large portion of my life, that you can absolutely use this law to change your life too and create abundance. And it's as simple as changing who you are on the inside to experience something different on the outside.